Hello and welcome back to Live, Laugh, Stuck. This is the final official Homestuck episode of Moosestuck, which feels weird. Like, I feel like I built it up as like the final episode last time, but because that was technically the final that we were listening or reading it. But this is the final where we talk about it and have all the wrap-up questions and everything. And of course, Moosie is here. Hello, Moosie.
Hello, Moosie.
So I have gathered some questions together that I'll kind of just try to go over your general thoughts about stuff.
Ooh. I mean, I will say it was very convenient that we finished reading before everything happened.
Yeah. If you listened to the episode last week, I do kind of like mention that it was just like, this was kind of like a perfect time for this shit to happen. But I guess we continue on for the near future at the very least. But yeah, if you want all the details, I have that in the last episode that, as of recording right now, has not been recorded or published. So I don't know if you got it last Thursday or last like Sunday or something, or like whenever you got it. Okay, let's start with some general stuff. Would you recommend Homestuck removed from the context of its creator in the current ongoings?
I think it really depends on the person I'd be talking to. Like,
yeah, but like if you knew someone who had like, you're a little weirdo freak, you'd love this.
Yeah, if I was like, oh yeah, this person definitely seems like into fandoms and fan fiction, I'd probably be like, I mean, there's a big community of fans to interact with. You're burnt out on I don't know. Side note, like, I know you ramble a lot, not in a bad way, but about how I met your mother.
Oh, yeah.
And then I started seeing TikToks about it. It was like, oh, so that's why the ending is bad.
Oh, the ending's so fucking bad. Like, we just forget the last episode exists.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, you're out of that fandom, or you're out of some other, like, your Game of Thrones fandom thing or whatever. Oh, go try Homestuck. Oh, except, also, it's free at least.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, a lot of people are very disappointed in the end of Homestuck. Like, it is, people are not, like, on the same page about whether the end of Homestuck is good or bad.
It did feel kind of anticlimactic. Or maybe too simple compared to the rest of the comic.
Yeah, it definitely could feel like okay, let's wrap this up. Come on, let's go. Yeah. Let's just finish the shit.
Our last season's been canceled. We need to finish the story now.
Right. So is that what you say, like, to tell people who are reading it the first time, is like, just like, hey, well, at least it's got a fandom, or are there like other things that you'd want to like prepare them for, let them know about whenever they start reading?
I guess it really depends on kind of their prior experience, because for me, I know that I had a lot of frustration around, like, okay, this is just, they're in their houses for frickin' forever, and then we move to some other people, and it's like, oh, things are happening, and it's like, oh, now we have new people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would maybe be like, be prepared for meandering.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. It's one of those things where I really do feel like having the context at the first, like, 3 or 4 acts were almost, like, I forget, like, when Hussey, like, stopped taking the reader prompts for things, but, like, that it's so meandering at the beginning because it was based on reader prompts, so readers would, like, just fucking do whatever. They would just say to go do dumb shit, right? Now, after that point, there's no other excuse for any meandering that happens. It's entirely on Hussey. But at the beginning, it was, like, based on kind of, like, forum post, comic type things with the reader prompts, which, can be really fun, but can lead to the first, 3 or 4 acts of Homestuck.
Yeah. And I will also say, like, I haven't really read through any webcomics before besides, like, VG Cats a long time ago.
Oh, VG Cats is good.
But not like a story-based thing. So I think if someone's more used to that style of storytelling as well, where I assume it's kind of like a slow...
No. I'm a big webcomics person. Like, I got into Homestuck because a different webcomic artist I like recommended, or like called Hussey his friend. No. Not all webcomics are this meandering as this. I read Slice of Life. I read anthro, like anthro slice of life, anthro like fantasy. I don't know why I decided to have anthro as a genre now, but like I read like a high fantasy. I think like
yeah,
maybe something like Order of the Stick or something you might think can get it a bit meandering. Maybe like what's it called, like Nuclear Power or something. I always get that mixed up
I
because like the
guess it
website has
kind
a
of
name. Hmm?
I guess it kind of depends on if the author had a plan ahead of time or not.
I
Because my
mean,
impression is very like DeviantArt, where you're all just uploading shit and whatever on a whim.
oh yeah, I mean, like, for sure. Like, there are so many webcoms out there that you can find stuff that's just, like, they clearly didn't have a plan, but, like, there's plenty that, like, didn't really have a plan. Like, again, questionable content is, this is the main one I'm bringing up because it is, like, it's basically the only one I still, read. It has been going on since before Homestuck started, and it is still going on, so it's like, I want to recommend it to people, but like many webcomics, it's like, there is a giant backlog. Like, it started out as just some guys who were into, like, really hipsterish indie music talking about that, and they meet a girl who is a love interest and punches you, and then it, like, turns into something better, but I still wouldn't call the beginning meandering unless, like, you are not there for the talk about, like, indie music type shit, right? And then it, like, if you are there for, like, the queer shit it ends up being, or the weird shit that happens around, like, androids and stuff, the beginning can seem boring, but it is not because it was meandering at the beginning. It's just because, like, it turned into something different, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, no, I think, like, the average webcomic is not as meandering, but it is meandering in the beginning as it is in Homestuck because of the form in which it started.
I'll be like, well, if you really enjoy tutorials in video games where they don't let you do anything for the first 3 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is why, like, people used to suggest to just skip to Act 5 when the trolls come in. But I don't think that's good, obviously. I'm a big fan of reading things from the beginning. It's just, like, if you don't like it at first, feel free to, like, set it down for a while and come back to it in a few months.
Yeah, but then, like, let's say I'm talking to one of my coworkers who's, like, a 50-year-old woman. I wouldn't
Oh.
recommend Homestuck to her.
No, absolutely not. I mean, there's some weirdo 50-year-old women out there, like, don't get me wrong. But, like, yeah, I don't think, like, the average person, I don't think would be interested in it.
Mm.
Do you feel like you understand Homestuck?
No.
No.
I mean, I guess I have a vague sense of the progression, but like if we investigated any given detail, I would still be lost. Like, what happened with the horror terrors? And I know that something dream bubbles, and then also I don't remember what happened with that green sun. Did they made the green sun, but then they were trying to explode it before that?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All what you said is true.
But I don't know. Like, I still, because it's been such a long time since we've read through earlier in, because we ended up with the two dogs in the battle, Jack Noir, right?
Yeah.
And like big buff Lord English.
Not one of the dogs, but also there, yes.
Yeah. It's like, I don't remember how these people got here.
That's fair. And yeah, I think either people who were live reading it were even more lost than we were because there was longer stretches of time, or they were like constantly rereading or engaging in fandom discussions where they would have people who like did understand what was going on, or they would have people who pretended or thought they understood what was going on and got misled in completely different ways.
Yeah. Or if this was like a TV show where if there's a year pause, I don't remember stuff, I'd just go watch a YouTube of like, here's what happened last season.
Which I'm sure existed. I guess, like, are there any, like, one of those things that you, like, kind of latched onto, or you do feel you understand? I mean, latched onto even if you don't understand, or I guess I said the same question twice. Let me try again. Are there any of those little details, you know, obviously not the green sun, but similar to the green sun, or to, like, Strife Specibus, or to, what are some other examples I had, like the quadrants or anything, Bloodcast class specs or anything, those little details that you either feel you really understand, or you just really like, even if you don't understand it, like that it would be your, like, one thing from Homestuck you would pick out and say, this is the thing that I'm going to be not obsessed with, but you know what I mean.
I mean, I enjoyed the albeit flawed data structure, inventory system, and the decoding of the cards. I like sketched stuff out on paper to try to figure out, if there was any kind of logic behind it. And what else was it? The till death language and just being like, this doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
none of that like really just lasted for most of the comic. It was just kind of like a side thing, and then it was gone.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how would you grade Hussey's understanding of comp sci based on your reading of Homestuck?
So it's been a little bit since we were over through those, but I remember like if you injected too many things inside of a data structure, it would just like explode everything everywhere or launch the next thing out of the front or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not necessarily how it works. Or when we were playing the game, the map and like the array kind of were the same or something like that. But I mean, I guess those are other people trying to implement that.
Oh, yeah,
My
for the
yeah.
project. I always get Project Genesis, the Genesis project. Project
Yeah.
Genesis is a different game.
My like, and I don't know Hussey, and I haven't like read technical blog posts from Hussey or anything like that. But my impression is like, yeah, they took some computer science classes, but you take your first 3 programming classes and then maybe you're done with it, and it's like, okay, it's like not a deep level of understanding. It's like I got a B.
Okay. A solid
I got a
B.
B in the class, but I don't use data structures anymore, so I don't think about them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Hussey has a degree. Is that known?
I have no idea. Hold on. Hey, Dummy.
Yeah,
Do you know if Hussey has a degree in like anything?
not a clue.
Yeah, because as far as I know, like even like at this point, they just kind of made like a lot of their money from like merch sales and stuff. Like they just kind of like this is like what they did. But I
Yeah.
don't know if they had like a degree before this. Are you looking it up?
I'm taking a peek.
Taking a peek.
Hussey graduated from Temple University with a degree in computer science.
Yeah. But still, there's like...
He has said that he has moved well over 50 times.
I mean, that's mood. I've moved so many goddamn times.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does have an actual, like, degree in computer science. Do you think that this is a good understanding for someone who has a degree in computer science?
I mean, when I finished up going to UMKC and I got my bachelor's, I felt like I didn't understand a whole lot.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a bachelor's for you.
Yeah, it was, part of it's like university teaching is kind of garbage. Mm-hmm. I say as a community college teacher.
You say as a teacher.
Yeah. But I mean, my experience with like community college versus university is community college is much more personalized and stuff. But just feeling, I know I had always had a feeling of, man, they really didn't teach us very good.
Yeah.
Once I got out of university. But once you are using it more, which I assume Hussey hasn't had any other jobs besides Homestuck.
I have no idea. I believe that they have not coded anything to do with Homestuck. Like they were not involved in the coding of any of the games. I don't think. I could be wrong about this. Openbound, I'm like 98% sure they did not code. They're not listed in the credits of coding even Cyclonials.
Well, even that's like just linear.
Right. I did find out that it's not in Ren'Py, it's actually in Unity using like one of those like novel plugin things. But yeah, so they didn't code in there. So I don't think that, I think like they graduate. It's kind of like I follow like PokeTubers who were talking about like, oh yeah, my degree in mechanical engineering, right? And like, dang, you just like immediately didn't use that at all. You graduated and you were just like already doing like PokeTuber stuff and it was already like getting you money. So like, it's just a thing you can like flex on for no reason every now and then.
Yeah, so just like kind of a lack of additional depth and training, but
yeah.
Guess they're doing okay.
Yeah. Financially, I think they are doing okay.
They did better than your normal entry-level computer science role. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea how much Homestuck brought in or if it still brings in much money.
I don't know all of the financial stuff. Like, I don't think anything's like public information outside of like the Kickstarter, which also was like infamously not very public information. But no, as far as I'm aware, like Hussey is still very good at writing the Homestuck financial wave. And I mean, like, there's just the announcement with like the animation and stuff. Like, Hussey's definitely gonna get money from that. Like, there's still like merch stuff going on.
Yeah, there's the new merch that has dropped.
Oh yeah, whatever. That's not part of this. I don't need to like.
Don't buy the merch.
Yeah,
you don't need it. Draw
I
your own merch. Make your own shrinky dinks of like Homestuck characters.
No, like I have like a wall of like keychains I've gotten from people. I've bought like washi tape of like freaking various Homestuck designs. I even have like an Aridin glasses wipe. Like there's like so much good Homestuck merch out there. Better than those dumb fucking plushies. Like I'm so sorry to the people who are excited about the plushies. The Carcat one looks so fucking bad to me, in my opinion. But no, I did mention on the last episode that like it's your life. Do what you want. I'm not here to tell you what you get to decide about like how you spend your money and like what you think about stuff. We are just taking the stance of we are not going to do anything to encourage people to spend money on it. We would encourage you to not give Hussey any more money in any way, shape, or form. But I'm not going to like lecture you about it, right? Is like, this is our stance. You decide what you want to do.
Also, cancel your Spotify.
God, I just started my Spotify again. I tried to switch over to Bandcamp. And it's just like, Bandcamp sucks so bad for all the things I want from Spotify.
You just gotta download the things.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll look into stuff again. I just miss my playlists. And it's very hard to like have playlists you can just move around to different places. Like the Bandcamp playlists are only on mobile. Like they don't exist on browser. And it's fucking annoying.
Download your MP3s and then just throw them everywhere. Get Winamp on your computer and get VLC on your phone.
Yeah, it's just my phone storage is taken up by mobile games pretty infamously. It's hard. I'll fucking crack out my Zune and see if I can actually get that to turn on again. I have the Halo version.
You'll get some retro kudos from people as you pass by on the street or whatever.
Anyway, try to avoid giving money to people who have proven that they do not deserve your money. Like Hussey, as an example, who very much does get money from all this shit. Like, oh, man.
And if you are still into Harry Potter, might I suggest the public domain magical university that is secretly hidden behind the Raytown, Missouri Taco Bell. That's public domain. You all can use those wizards.
Man, don't come for me like this. I still fucking like write Harry Potter fan fiction sometimes. I can't help it.
Well, writing fan fiction is like one thing, but like
I don't buy anything. I bought like the DVDs fucking ages ago, and like I am mourning the Harry Potter world in Universal Studios. That was a fun time. I like those rides, but I don't know. It sucks. It's not like I have money to go there right now anyway. Like, I am mourning things I don't have money for anyway. And I think even just buying a ticket to Universal Studios gives her money also. I don't know how that works.
Ew.
It sucks. But yeah, try to avoid giving money to people. There's like other wizard stuff out there, but even if you still like the Harry Potter wizard stuff, like there's so many good fan fictions out there.
Invest in fans.
There's there's one fan fiction I'm following where they are doing the Harry Potter series, but from Draco's point of view. And it is really, really interesting. It's really interesting. They take a take on how someone can get radicalized, especially if they grow up in like an ultra like conservative environment, and how like there's all these like things that confirm their own biases because they don't have the full like context for things. And I don't know. It's like really, really good. They delve into like gender stuff as well. Like there's been at least one trans character so far. It's really, really good. I might link to it. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they've gone through, I think they're up through book like 5. I think they're working on 6 right now, or publishing 6 right now. But there's really good fanfic out there if you do still like Harry Potter and don't want to support J.K. Rowling. And I know that she says that being a fan of her stuff supports her, but also, like, she fucking hates Draco. She hates Drarry. She hates, like, just, there's so many things that, like, the fans love that she hates. So, I don't know.
Like Luna Lovegood.
She hates Luna Lovegood.
That was my impression. That's my impression. Yeah. Like, oh, this is a caricature of, like, an autistic person.
Yeah, probably.
They're so annoying. Nobody likes them.
I don't know. Like, yeah.
But then the fans like
the fans do things so much better. And point being, we recommend you don't give Hussey any more money by like when the animation comes out, like watching that through appropriate means. I wouldn't recommend that. I wouldn't recommend buying any more merch or buying any past merch or just like buying games. I'll still be getting the Hive Swap games because I backed the Kickstarter. I already gave Hussey my money. So they need to give me stuff forever, and they will never fulfill that promise. But yeah, I mean, if you really want, Cyclonials is free now. So, like, I don't know. There's so much free stuff if you still want to experience, like, Homestuck and Hussey related things that you do not have to give them money for. What was our line of thought? Let's go back to how would you explain what Homestuck is about to someone who has no idea and is like, hey, tell me about this Homestuck thing. I do not have 3 hours.
Yeah. I feel like when you read synopsises online, at least like, I don't know, maybe back of the book sort of thing, it says about 4 friends who play a video game and then the world's going to be destroyed. I'm like, well, kind of, but then that left me with the impression of things being more video gamey.
Yeah.
And I know there are aspects of that, but I was, I guess, more influenced in a way in my mind. You know, you read something and then you like have this idea of what's going to be in your head. And then like, it's just not. I think my honest take would be, so it's a webcomic. It starts with 4 kids and they're, I don't know if I'd even mention the game world because I feel like that just, it doesn't feel gamey enough for me. But then it moves to some trolls and then there's trolls and then it moves to more kids and more trolls. So you just get a lot of characters and let's say it's a save the world plot.
I think that's as good of a summary as anyone can really give.
Or I could say it like maybe also that it has the time travel stuff in there.
Yeah.
Or multiple universes stuff in there. So I'd be like, if you're into multiple universes,
like
maybe you'll like
this. Was doing multiverse before like freaking Marvel Cinematic Universe was doing multiverse. Every time I see a multiverse thing, I'm like, just like Homestuck. If you could change something about like Esperb's game mechanics, whether it's like the fetch modi, the strife specibus, the UI, like as far as like we have seen of the actual game itself in the comic, like is there something that you would change to improve it?
Well, it feels like a lot of that didn't carry over to once they were actually in the game, and I don't know if you'd even call the in-game worlds to still be Spurb, or if that's just like the front end game into the back end, like land of blah and blah.
The whole thing is Spurb. Like, technically speaking, like they do enter the game and everything is Spurb in there. Like that's why, like in the I forget if it's like in the end of Act 7 or I don't think it's in the Instagram thing, but we see like thank you for playing. Like once they get into the next world, we're just going to call that world Earthsea. That is what the world that they enter to is referred to as. It's Earthsea. So once they are living on Earthsea, there is thank you for playing up at the top, and that is the signifier of the end of Spurb. So like yes, basically the entirety is in Spurb. They still like technically like level up and everything. It's just like
like they kind of do more with like the farming grist. It feels like more than like a lot of the UI stuff gets left behind. Building stuff gets left behind. they have classes in like a god tier, but that like I don't know. It doesn't feel video gamey enough for me.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, things go to shit in their session, so it's like the trolls play the game exactly how it's meant to be played until the beta kid session breaches into theirs and fucks everything up. But we don't get to see the majority of the troll session. We just get to hear about it. So the trolls are the ones who actually played the fucking game. And the kids start to, but as soon as Jade enters, that is when everything fucks up, because Beck makes everything super fucking powerful, and the scratch and everything that they have to do to reset it.
Yeah. So in a way, like, if this was all retold maybe from the point of view of the trolls and not starting with the kids, I feel like it would feel more like a narrative if it was them going through their quests and such. And then something goes wrong at the end. And then that's like kind of your like next act thing of like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been more interesting.
Like, Hussey did originally have some interesting things about each of the kids having like their own specific like instrument, and then their quests were going to be based on their instrument. Like, we see John having to play the piano to get rid of all the oil around his planet. And so like we see the finale of John's quest, but we don't see like what that would be for Rose's or Dave's or Jade's. Rose starts fucking everything up almost immediately because God forbid Rose has to follow like what someone else thinks her personal growth path should look like.
Yeah.
But yeah. I do think that would be interesting, but I think it would just also be like a very different work than Homestuck, because Homestuck is like about like kind of subverting those, like looking at the narrative tropes and then sometimes engaging with them and then usually just flipping them on their head, but like just kind of like a commentary on narrative tropes like that. So I think it just like inherently wouldn't be Homestuck to actually like the kids do the quests like they're supposed to.
See, it doesn't feel like a subversion. It just feels like lazy writing to me is how it comes off.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because there's been other media where I very much feel like, oh, it's going to do this thing, and then it flips it on the head. Whereas with Homestuck, it feels like I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like I need to re-listen to Homestuck Made This World. I never actually finished it because I didn't want it to like because we were getting near the end and I didn't want to take all their thoughts and just turn it into my thoughts. But yeah, because they were like actually like have degrees in like media analysis type shit. I forget what their degrees are, but like it's stuff that they like actually like do.
Yeah.
So it's like a thing that were like actively trained in. So they have like some really good thoughts about like the narrative. And yeah, it's like the more they explain like their view on like how Hussey handles the narrative, the more I hate how like Hussey's idea of like narrative and storytelling and everything. I like disagree with so many like principles of like the Hussey's storytelling, but I still really, really like Homestuck. It's wild. Speaking of game stuff, sort of technically, for the Genesis project, someone's very ambitious goal to try to turn Esper into an actual game. First, does this feel accurate to how Spurb would actually work on like any sort of fundamental level, like ignoring like the glitches and stuff, even though that might be part of Spurb, but just like the fundamentals that exist there and they are trying to do. Do you think that's how Spurb would work?
As far as when we were in the houses, that felt very much like how Homestuck was presented when you have your server and client players. Once we were down on the ground, it just felt kind of directionless, and it was just us wandering around and killing things.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't feel. I mean, like I know that it has like an end boss and everything, but I definitely do get that it feels like pretty directionless and stuff. Do you have any ideas about how this game could be like more functional, like do what it is setting out to do more?
It's kind of a weird type of game for multiplayer where, I mean, once the kids would be in the game worlds, they would technically be separate until you like find a way to each other. So it's hard to say like, oh, make it like Gauntlet where they're all going to be traveling this kind of linear path and then fighting things. Like that wouldn't be what you would do immediately. You'd have to like, okay, we were kind of coordinating these things and playing together and not in the same area, but I see you on my client or server or whatever, then to take like that sort of collaborative thing and then like now you're just all siloed off in your own worlds feels like a very kind of an abrupt, weird change in gameplay, and then you have to like work back to see each other again. I think overall that wouldn't make a very like it would be a frustrating game design.
Yeah, and like just as Spurv as a whole, like I think it would just be so annoying to have to constantly go back and forth between like getting grist on your own by fighting things, but also having to check back in and continue to build up like your friend's house to get to like further portals and stuff.
Yeah, and it could definitely be designed in a way that works, but yeah, it's kind of a like in a way maybe an asynchronous style game where you didn't have to be playing at the same time, you just kind of log in for a little bit, maybe a mobile game where you like can grind for grist while you're watching TV and then you can like go back to building stuff later or whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, a Homestuck idle game. Holy shit. How have I, the idle game fanatic, not considered Spurb as an idle game?
Time to get down to the drawing board.
God, I don't know. Idle games, I kind of talked about this on one of my little short episodes on Fake Gamer Bro. But like idle games are, I feel like designing them and designing them well are for math freaks and math freaks only. And I don't think I understand like the math and the economics of idle games enough to design a good idle game.
Yeah, even when I've made games, I'm like, I don't want to think about the functional curve of like the level up power changes. Like if you've used RPG Maker, you can kind of see that in like the building a character thingy. But I'm like, it's just fun to be able to hit something twice and then it's dead. And that's how I make my games.
Yeah. There's just like a lot of stuff that goes into it. That's if you are a math freak and like idle games, there's a game called Exponential Idle that is about like a math grad student doing a formula, and so it's very, very math involved idle game, and I don't know if it's any of it's accurate, but they sure do a lot of things that I feel like, oh, you're a smart math person. I think that's like the biggest example of like idle games about math, but games can be hard to balance and math stuff, even in like the simple way, much less when it's an idle game and it is all about that like arc, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Mina Quest or Openbound, do you think that is good or even decent game design? Do you have game design thoughts about like Mina Quest specifically?
I really think it should be presented as something besides a game.
Yeah.
Like it can be a good, interesting way to interactively give exposition, but game-wise, it's not. All of the walkie things, I was just like, man. And there wasn't really anything to kind of make that, like, where am I supposed to go? Like, streamline that in any way. It was just kind of like, here's a big area, walk around, talk to people, hope you don't miss anything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can see like if I was a middle schooler and this just came out, like, and there was no more comic after it, and we were waiting for like the next comic or whatever, I could see being like obsessed with it and exploring and having a really good time with that. But either because I'm an old person and like I don't have time to be exploring things as much, or just I don't know, because I've been playing video games for so long, it just wasn't that engaging. It was more just kind of like, eh.
To be clear, my impression from the fandom, which I could be wrong, but my impression from the fandom is everyone fucking hates Mina Quest unless they are specifically freaks about the Beforest trolls. Like,
Yeah.
Mina Quest, from my understanding, is not a popular part of Homestuck. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Because I liked reading all this stuff, and then, like, the Beforest trolls, like, because in the same way that the Alternia trolls were, like, references to, like, general, like, people you would find in, like, chat rooms and stuff, the Forest Trolls were specifically like more of a reference to people you would find on Tumblr where I was. So I think that was interesting, even if, and I thought like having like the hashtags below stuff was interesting. But as far as like the gameplay, I didn't necessarily care about, though I thought it was interesting. I thought it was cool that you could like be different characters and walk around and talk to people, but I also like did not explore that as much because I got bored with it and just wanted to go do the next thing.
There's also gameplay where you play it as like the primary trolls on their space station
on the Meteor, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, but these are all have been kind of like walk around. Good luck.
Yeah, like, and then I think it's really neat that you can have Rose talk to Gamzee and find out a little bit more about, like, Gamzee and Teresa's relationship. But that is so fucking, like, most people would not think to go do that I kind of wish that there were things that were more relevant to the main story and the main characters that were not so hidden behind, like, you not only have to be Rose, you have to go to this thing that Rose does not have to go to type stuff. But, well, besides Openbound, were there any games throughout that kind of, like, stuck out to you, whether a good stick out or a bad stick out?
I might need to like see a list of the games. I know early on there was the fighty games, like, but I don't think they did anything. I think it was more like for the vibe or something.
Yeah, the strife sections that happened a few times was mostly for vibes, that, like, you could click on stuff and see, like, a cool, neat little thing, but, like, it's not like you could, like, do anything with the outcome. I think the main games after that, I there's, like, the John walk-around game when he first gets to his planet and he talks to all the consorts and fights some imps and can, like, you know, get the objects and stuff. And then I think the other memorable ones are, there's some, like, point and click stuff, like, especially on Jane's planet where you solve, like, the little puzzles. I think you called it Mist-like.
Yeah.
There's, like, some other little games
I
around, but I think those are, like, the more notable ones.
Yeah, I think that it could have been designed in a way to feel more purposeful, feel more like it's actually supposed to be a game. But for the most part, they just feel like interactive parts of the comic. So it's not like I'm booting up page whatever to play my favorite game because it's so much fun. It's, you know, it's just a narrative device, but slightly interactive.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of narrative devices, what do you think about the retcon? Like, John going back in time and following all these steps and retconning it to where Frisk is alive, and that changes the outcome of everything.
Gosh, it feels like Vriska got killed so long ago
Mm-hmm.
in the story, and I don't know what act that was, but it just felt like it was. And I also don't know if it was because we also paused in reading, but how much story happened after Vriska died and before the retcon?
So much story. Just so much story. Like, cause Vriska is killed in Act 5, Act 2. Because Act 5, Act 1 is introducing each of the trolls and, like, seeing glimpses of their, like, how they got into the session, and then, like, a bit of their session. And then Act 5, Act 2 is kind of, like, everything after, like, they have talked to, like, kind of bringing us back up in the timeline with where we were with the kids, left off in Act 4. It's so early on. Like, Act 6 is so much, I'm having trouble, like, breaking up, like, how much of the comic it is. But it's just, like, almost half of the comic was with only dead Vriska before the retcon.
Right. And I know, like, generally people don't view retcons very favorably. That's another part where I feel like, for as long-winded as Homestuck is, some of these decisions, like the very end, the retcon, those feel like they happen so quickly, whereas, like, the retcon could have been fleshed out more to make it feel more purposeful also. I think my takeaway is it feels like Hussey was just doing stuff.
Hussey was just doing stuff.
So, I mean, sometimes retcons can be fun just to think about, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, because this isn't just like and then another movie came out and they retconned some stuff, don't worry about it. Like, usually some minor details, or, I mean, sometimes it's more annoying depending on what they retcon. But, like, this was, like, a purposeful in-comic, like, everyone knows this is a retcon.
Yeah. Plus, also, like, we've already gone through a scratch, and then, like, what, that universe also wasn't good or something?
Yeah, so, but the, a scratch is different because the scratch still happened and then just, like, oh my god, time stuff is so fucking weird. Because, like, all the time stuff up until the retcon was self-fulfilling. Like, it was, like, it inherently could not create any paradoxes, right? Like, whenever paradoxes happen, it would have that slime, which then I guess, like, having paradoxes happen was also important because then that's how, like, all of the characters were created in the first place because of paradox slime. But, like, the point is that the paradoxes can't exist outside of slime. God, this is so dumb. But, like, it's still, like, you know, like, when Dave, as a time person, like, if he went back in time to change thing, that thing still, like, happened. Like, you can't go back and kill your grandma, right? Like, before, like, she had your mom. Hold on, Dami has stuff to say because Dami's more of a time person than me. Come over here, Dami.
Okay.
I also just watched Futurama where Fry becomes his own grandfather.
Oh, God, right.
So here's the fucked up thing, is that, like, paradoxes are, like, totally fine. If you go back in time and kill your grandma, it's not a big deal, it just creates a doomed timeline.
Yeah, okay, that's true. I guess I was thinking more for, like, the alpha timeline.
And if... Yeah. It's the... This is the stuff that's so bullshit about the alpha timeline.
Yeah.
Right? Is that, like... Yeah, there is a very specific set and sequence of events that causes the alpha timeline to happen. The thing about John's power is not that it allows him to circumvent creating paradoxes, it is that it allows him to change the course of events that cause the alpha timeline.
That's so fucked up.
Yes.
I'm so glad you're here to explain time shit.
You're welcome.
Because it's so dumb. It's like not... It's just like... It's not like dumb, but it's dumb, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I am seeing it, and Act 5 ended in 2011, and Vriska comes back in 2015.
Yeah, so that's a lot of story that, and at that point it feels like, well, how do I end this successfully in a way? Because I don't know what else could have been the ending. I guess maybe only a couple people survive.
I mean, that's what happened in Game Over, is it was just like John and Roxy, basically. Like, yeah, I mean, I think it can also be like considered like a, I mean, if I really want to give, like, just really look at it as a story and not thinking about what Hussey might have been thinking, but like, Vriska being so, like, essential to the narrative, like, both as a light player, and then just kind of like the cruelty of Spurb, of like, you are not allowed to have the personal growth that you got to have in Death in order for, like, this to work out for your team. You want your team to survive, you can't have much personal growth. And I don't know, I have Vriska thoughts.
And, like, this is also where video games could have come in, because it could be like, you just have to load your game. Like, you just fucked up this path, you just have to start it over, or make it a roguelike or something.
I mean, well, that's kind of what the retcon was, is going back and fixing stuff.
Right, but it could have been framed like a video game more so.
I mean, I think that would be hard to do with how, like, God tier death works, where, like, you know, because, like, there is, like, kind of the revival thing, except, like, Vriska's death was considered just, so she doesn't get to revive. But I guess, like, I don't know, a save state? I don't know. They, like...
Yeah, it's like when you're playing Monkey Island, The Secret of Monkey Island, you hit F5 and you have this big long list of saves. Actually, it'd be better for King's Quest, actually, because you die all the time in those. You don't die in Secret of Monkey Island unless you stay underwater for 10 minutes or more. But that's the sort of thing, is like in King's Quest, you would just have all these saves before you ever talk to someone, before you even change the screen, because anything could, like, soft lock you, which I guess this is technically, like, they got to a soft lock with, you know, just two people living, or you just immediately die. It's like, I forgot to I ate the pie and now I can't kill the Yeti, so I'm fucked.
Yeah. I don't know. There might have been better ways to do it. I mean, I really like Terezi's, like, time power thing. Or not time power thing, but, like, being able to, like, go back and, like, see all the little things that needed to be shifted in order to, like, have the outcome. I think that was cool as hell. Like, I think Terezi would be so OP if she ever actually went God tier. I don't know. Like, the retcon's tough. Especially because, like, to a lot of people, it did just seem like Hussey wrote themselves into a corner and had to fucking figure out how to get out of that shit. Right? Yeah. I don't know. I have like mixed thoughts on the retcon. Like I really like it in some ways, and I really like am not into it in others.
There's no takey backs in life.
There are in video games though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess thinking about like characters dying, is there a character who died that you wish would have made it to the end?
So, okay. Who's dead and not just like Sprite anymore? Because I know like Nepeta came back.
I'm gonna have to like literally just go through the trolls one by one. Cause Aradia, Tavros, Solix, Karkat, Nepeta, Kanaya, Trezzy, Vriska, Equius, Gamzee, Aridin and Feferi?
Okay, I don't care about them.
Are Aridin and Feferi the only two characters who like died and didn't come back as like sprites or anything? I mean, like technically Aridin came back as a sprite with Aerosol, and then
if you're counting that, Feferi does too.
Yeah, Feferi comes back with that, but like they're not there for the retcon, right? Aerosol isn't in the retcon. And then like Feferi, like Fefeta explodes, and so that's dying again.
Mm-hmm.
Fefeta isn't in the retcon either.
Yeah, so Fefeta and Aerosol aren't in the retcon, so technically they all come back alive in some form at some point. But as far as, like, the end of Homestuck, like, post-retcon, Aridin and Feferi, I think are the only two characters who are dead and do not come back, unless you're counting, like, your fucking Beforus, which are dead before we start the comic.
Yeah, meh.
Yeah. I wish Aridin would have come back. I think that'd be funny.
He's the one who was, like, gonna, like, side with Lord English or something, right?
Yeah. He is the one who killed
gonna betray
Feferi,
everybody. Yeah.
half killed Solix because Solix is weird and is half dead, sort of, and killed Kanaya, who then came back as a vampire and killed him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess right after the what is the title everyone uses for the Red Wedding but Homestuck?
Game over?
Is that where Gamzee kills a bunch of people?
Oh, no, that's Moosestuck.
Okay, Moosestuck. I don't know, it just also feels like we went to other groups of characters so quickly.
Yeah.
I was like really only kind of attached to Karkat, and then you see Kanaya a lot and Terezi.
Yeah, they definitely, the only character, like the characters who died that we really had like more connection with would be like Vriska and Tavros, like who actually got like more screen time. But yeah. I guess I didn't realize like how few like actually stayed dead by the end. So many characters are still alive. I guess part of it's because like Aradia and Solix kind of like fuck off somewhere else.
Mm.
Like they're still around and alive. We just don't see them with the main group really.
Sucks to be you, Aridin.
And Feferi.
Yeah.
I guess let's go through favorite characters. I have a list of the varying types of favorite characters you could have. Mm-hmm. Do you have a general favorite character overall?
I really like salamanders.
Yeah.
Like Casey.
Yeah, Casey. I mean, Casey came in clutch at the end.
Yeah. And then as far as the trolls, I liked Karkat the most. And I guess for the kids, I just liked John the most.
Were there any of the alpha kids that you liked?
Not really.
Okay. I thought that would be your answer.
It feels like at some point when you just get your original group replaced with another group, you're like, but I want the original group.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why, like, even though we saw a lot with, was it Feferi's other ancestor person? Question mark?
Yeah, Mina.
Yeah. I also just didn't really, like, register a lot of them in my mind as far as, like, this is, yeah, they're there, but
yeah,
I'm not really, like...
Mina and Arania were, like, the only two from the Beforus trolls that really got more than 2 seconds of screen time.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also Kurlos, who was actually kind of plot relevant for half a second, but, like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
What about any of the sprites?
Gosh, it also feels like such a long time ago to have like Nana Sprite.
I mean, Nana Sprite came back at the end.
Yeah, but she wasn't talking as much. It wasn't, like earlier in. I mean, objectively, it'd be cool to have your cat as a sprite.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like maybe Nana Sprite had the most personality that I can think of kind of like original sprites.
She also baked you cakes and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, having someone able to bake you infinite cakes, even if sometimes those would be in your face instead of on your plate. What about any of the Guardians? I guess you can still say Nana since you like Nana Sprite. And she's dead at the beginning of the thing. But yeah,
I like I like the perception of Dad being like a jokey guy, but really he's just a serious businessman.
God, yeah, that's so funny. Were there any characters that you started out liking and ended up disliking, or vice versa?
I don't really think so. I guess part of me was like, man, why is there so much Gamzee here?
Yeah, there's a lot of Gamzee. Gamzee is an extremely important character in Homestuck.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps one of the most important. Who's to say? Yeah, it definitely took me like several read-throughs to have a lot of like changing opinions on characters. Like Dirk was not my favorite character, and still like sometimes I would argue whether like he is. He's like my most prominent talked about character for me. I love him so much. He's probably my favorite character. He wasn't that until after I did my Gaystuck series and had an episode like on him specifically. I turned him into my entire personality approximately 2 weeks before the epilogues came out, and we are about to have you understand why that is extremely tragic for me. It's my villain origin story, half joking.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, like, there are a lot of characters I didn't like, and now I can't think of, like, any character I dislike after so many read-throughs. Like, I can find a way to love, like, each of the characters. They each have, like, their own spot. Except for Lil Cal.
Yeah.
Lil Cal, go fuck himself. Lord English was also one of those until, like, I saw his anime face again, and some of the expressions he made, in which case, like, fine, I guess I can kind of like you. Character's good, but also, like, when I came away, there were also many characters I just wasn't really a fan of.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite Flash? You don't have to remember the names of the Flashes. I barely remember the names of the Flashes, but just, like, any just, like, big major sequence that you remember really liking?
Well, I don't know if it's because it's a really early in one, and like maybe that just stuck with me the most, but the one where it's like Dave going upstairs or something.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
And like the music for that one.
It is pretty good. Hold on, I'm gonna ask Dami. Hey, Dami. The Flash where, like, we see, like, Dave going upstairs to Strife and stuff. Do you know what that was called or what the music was?
Oh, I should.
Yeah.
Is it not like Ascend or something?
Dave Ascend? Yeah, because
that's the name of the Flash, but I think no, the music is called Upward Momentum, definitely.
Okay.
The Flash might be called Dave Ascend.
Because doesn't that music get referenced in Terezi Ascend?
Yes, that music gets referenced pretty frequently, but most notably in Terezi Ascend.
Yeah, all of the Homestuck music gets referenced pretty frequently throughout Homestuck.
Okay, the actual name of the Flash is S. Dave, ascend to the highest point in the building.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a good one. And I do like the music, because I also like, Terezi Ascend. Is it Terezi Ascend or Seer Ascend?
Might be Seer Ascend.
I think it's Seer Ascend, but it's when Terezi is ascending.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's also some stuff with Rose ascending that I don't remember.
It is Seer Ascend.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a good thing. It is a good early Flash. I'm kind of surprised you say that, since I'm pretty sure you don't like Dave that much.
Yeah, but I feel like with a lot of the Flashes, there was just so much going on that I didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
And maybe this one was just so early on that it was like simple.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I know what's happening here.
Because I think, what is it? Cascades? The Act 4 one, right?
Yes.
I always get Cascade and Collide confused. They start with C's. But yeah, because I think Cascade is like one of the first major, like, what the fuck is going on? I have to like pause a flash somehow and like frame by frame this, or find someone else who is doing it for me. But yeah, no, that's a good one. I don't know if I have a favorite. They kind of all jumble in my head, and I mean, like, oh my god, I forgot what it's called. It's like Prince Rise Up or something. Tommy's looking it up. Why do you keep putting your headphones back on, Tommy?
Prince of Heart Rise Up.
Prince of Heart Rise Up. Yeah, so I really like Prince of Heart Rise Up, even though like I forgot that it was like got split into two different flashes. I always like combined those in my head. But I'm also a Dirk Kinney, so I like Dirk, and it's a good Dirk flash. What can I say? Were there any parts of Homestuck that like hooked you? Like, yes, I would like to know more about this. I would like to see where this is going, or I like this concept.
Like, again, I was very much anticipating one thing once they all got into the game.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. I'm just trying to think.
Even if it didn't happen, like, so like them entering the game was like something that you were excited for?
Yeah. Like, I just wanted to see how these mechanics and stuff would play out with like generating things and then getting into the game. But then again, those were all kind of like left behind, and it was like, okay, well, John's walking around looking for stuff, and you're getting grist, but then it was just like, okay, where are we going? I don't know.
Yeah. And then I guess the flip side of that question of what lost you, was there anything that lost you? And I think like you have said a few times that like the introduction of new characters constantly, or the sudden slowing down of pace.
Yeah, with going back to the ancestors and then having the new kids, it's just like, oh my god. Can you introduce them bit by bit more subtly?
Yeah.
Just like,
I mean, that's a place that a lot of people got lost, was the introduction of the alpha kids.
Yeah. I did like the concept of like the different ways the trolls were instant messaging the kids. Like, was Carcat going backwards or something like that?
So they had a they could view the kids at any point. They just had like a program on their computer that they could pick any point in the kids' timeline, like between, I mean, like from their birth to like basically the point where all the shit goes down. I think it's all the shit in Cascade that goes down where they can't like go there anymore, and there's like Rose has a different blackout period. But so they would just like pick different times in there to talk to them. And then there was also a memo that could be accessed by all the trolls, like at whatever time period they wanted. So yeah. And then Carcat just embarrassed himself so fucking much that he had to go like backwards through the time period, so John wouldn't remember how he embarrassed himself so much.
Yeah, that was cute.
Yeah, I like that. I love Jade like getting into like just starting
the password system.
Yeah, the password system. Yeah, I mean that's where I was going for. It's just like the password system, and then being like so aggressive about it because she'd been talking to Carcat so much that she just started cursing. It felt very much like you know, that comic where a character says fuck and then a more innocent character says fuck and then someone else comes to beat the shit out of like the character who said it in the first place. I guess like most importantly, through all of this, especially as me, the person who dragged you into this, did you have a good time reading Homestuck and talking about it?
I mean, definitely talking about it and kind of reading it from a meta point of view, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, less so like just getting into the story, more so just seeing what it is and talking about the experience of reading Homestuck over the years, like for people who were actually there and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like, that part has definitely been interesting for me.
I will once again recommend, I know I recommended it like several times this episode and then throughout the series. Homestuck Made This World. If you want a better perspective than me or Dami could ever give you on like reading Homestuck while it was live and like knowing all the other stuff, like Homestuck Made This World is a perfect podcast for this.
Yeah.
Genuinely, if anyone wants to understand the context behind Homestuck more, is like that's just what you need to listen to. For some bonus questions. I am not sure we're ever going to actually do a review episode on this like I had been planning to. We'll see. I'll have it in my back pocket. But what do you think about FriendSim, which is a thing that we played on stream and is uploaded to YouTube, except I forgot to upload the last couple of episodes during my hiatus, so I need to finish doing those.
I definitely think that it was a good, like, way to introduce Homestuck, and I feel like I was more invested in it after we were going through the friend stuff, or like as we were going through the FriendSim stuff, because it just felt like you got to see more of the troll world and see different troll personalities, but in like a more concise and focused package.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, reading all the chat logs in Homestuck proper, I was like, ugh, but I don't know. It just felt better or was more entertaining in FriendSim.
So, kind of along the same line, did it affect your understanding of Homestuck?
It's hard to really say, like, I can't think of a time where it was like, oh, I understand this aspect of trolls now. It just felt, I don't know, more personable, I guess, after FriendSim.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it could also been like any more like the weird meta narrative shit that both Homestuck and FriendSim gets up to. But yeah, do you? I forget what you said your sign was. I know you've said it like 5 billion times, and I always forget what your astrological sign is.
Well, I'm an Aries.
Right. Do you feel like how your astrological like sign, how people with your sign in FriendSim, do you kind of vibe with how they were, especially compared with like Aradia and oh my god, I know her fucking name. I was like literally just reading a fan fiction that has her in it. Damara.
Yeah, because in Homestuck we didn't get to see them a whole lot. I don't remember who in FriendSim was an Aries type of thing.
Yeah, there weren't a whole lot of them, I think. There was Marcy, the cleaner girl. There was I'm pretty sure Demon was, right? The hot dog man.
Let me look at
Shovel Man.
Oh my god,
Oh,
Shovel Man, the communism man who flipped.
I mean, I do like and relate to Hot Dog Man quite a bit.
Hot dog man, good.
I'm very food motivated.
Yeah. Food good. Hot dog good.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? It's just those 3? Marcy, Hot Dog Man, and Father. Communism, and then not communism. The opposite.
I mean, I do enjoy communism.
Yeah.
The concept of communism.
Fucking hot takes on this podcast.
Imagine I get thrown in a gulag for mentioning communism good in a Homestuck podcast, and then the presidency finds out.
You're just talking about the ship communism, which is Karkat and John. Besides your Bloodcast characters, were there any characters from FriendSim that just stood out to you in particular?
Let me look up a picture of the trolls.
I was about to say, it's like I can send you an image of Troll Call to help you remember, but
oh yeah, I mean, I really liked Hot Dog Man. I guess it's hard because I don't like remember if I'm forgetting any specific events, but might have to like look up a list of what all happened because there were so many shenanigans.
Oh yeah, I don't think you'd have time to look up a whole list of what happened in FriendSim. Like maybe if we do the FriendSim review, I will like have a breakdown for you because there is a lot that happens.
Yeah, like was Skyla the Lucis rescue thingy?
Yeah.
Like that one I remember pretty fondly. What was the little child one? And we had like the really good voice for the child bureaucrat.
The bureaucrat. Oh, Torona.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Definitely made me like Torona more than the first time I played it. Voice actors will do a lot for a thing.
And Zebedee is very cute.
Zebedee is cute, but also just like the most annoying person you've known personally.
Yeah, so there's some good memories.
Yeah. Tizius is by far my favorite, which makes me very ununique. Everyone loves Tizius. fucking tired college student as revolutionary. Tagiri is one that I definitely like a lot more because I really like Harley voicing Tagiri. I love Harley voicing Tagiri so much. But God, I love so many of these characters. There's a lot of good ones in here. Because there's a billion of them, so it'd be wild if there weren't like at least a few that you would join. Marvis's route, I forgot how fucking crazy that was. I remember so much of how crazy it was, and there was still so much that I forgot about how crazy it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I said, we can delve into that more if we ever decide to do like a Friend Sim review episode, which is less and less likely the farther away we actually get from having played it, but we'll see. So I guess it's time to ask a little bit about the future. Are you excited to read the epilogues? How do you feel about reading the epilogues?
It looked like a big book.
It's a big book.
How many? So it's split in two, right?
Yeah. Technically, it's split. Technically, there is a prologue. That is one thing, and then it goes into the split between Candy and Meat.
How many pages is each one of those?
Well, I mean, I think how many words would probably be better. How many words?
Well, I know what a 400-page book looks like.
I mean, I don't know, different typefaces and stuff. It has 193,000 words in it, so that's a lot. I guess I can see the page count.
This is a 400-page... Well, this is also AI, so I should be listening to what it says, but...
Yeah.
A 400-page book typically contains between 100,000 and 120,000 words.
Okay, so there are 3 chapters of the prologue, and I think each chapter is on 1 page, but again, that doesn't say how long they are. And then 44 chapters in Meat and 41 chapters in Candy. So 85, 88 chapters in total. So 88 pages
Someone on Reddit says the epilogues are 190,000, so about a 423-page novel if it's in like a normal 12 point. So I don't know if that's each or all together, but that's not as scary as I was thinking if it's about normal novel length, but 20K longer than Fellowship of the Ring, which I also just read this year.
Yeah, Fellowship of the Ring isn't super long, though. It just seems long because the beginning takes so long.
Yeah, it's like, when is Gandalf coming back? It's been 20 years.
We are really delving into the details of this fucking birthday party, aren't we? We cannot skip over any details of this birthday party. The wiki says that Homestuck Act 5, Act 2 was 180,000 words. Not that you necessarily remember how long Homestuck Act 5, Act 2 was, but it says that it was released over the course of 400 days. So that is how long it took for the entirety of that to come out versus just like the dropping of the epilogues. But yeah, so I guess like were your feelings about how excited you were to read it, or your feelings about reading it were based on how long it was?
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if it will be more enjoyable for me in book form than having like just a large chat logs, or is the book mostly chat logs?
No, the book is like, it's a book. Like it is framed as though it is a fan fiction, which I will have opinions about that I don't have to get into here because I'm gonna get into them again.
Imagine just 400 pages of like IRC dialogue chat logs.
Yeah. I mean, that was Homestuck Act 5, Act 2, I guess.
Yeah.
Nah, there's like narrative and stuff in there, not just chat logs. Yeah, no, this is definitely more of a like traditional like story.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I will understand what's happening better if it's explained in text rather than just through images and animations. Because I feel like that I missed a lot of things that I had to kind of read in a summary as like, oh, that's what happened in that animation?
Yeah, that makes sense. Being able to go back and reread stuff is huge in understanding things.
Yeah.
So,
right now,
see.
the hook for me is what is meat versus what is candy? The mystery.
Like, what does it mean, or like, what are...
That, or also just like y'all mentioning the one you choose can affect how you feel about it overall or something?
Yeah, like it can definitely be an experience of which you read first I think can affect like your opinions on things that happen. Like I was reading Candy first at the same time one of my friends was reading Meat first. And like, I mean, that's an entirely different experience too, of just having like the first time you read it and having like vague commentary from the other person that you have no context for and just some stuff that they said. I'm like, how the fuck could you say that? Oh my God. And then like getting to that and understanding the context in which they said it. But yeah, and it just kind of like, you can like front load your opinions on certain things and you get to like, I don't know how to explain it besides, yes, it can affect your opinion on it. And there is like no best way in which order you read it.
Mm-hmm. So you read Candy first?
Yeah, I read Candy first.
Okay. Is there a specific vibe to either of them? Does Candy have a certain vibe versus Meat vibe?
There is. I'm debating if I want to tell it to you.
Yeah.
Just because, like, when you get into it, you will, like, there is no way you can have, like, the vibes. Like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I read it, but I don't think, like, the end of the prologue where it prompts you to choose between Candy and Meat, like, you know what? I will look that up really quick and see if it gives you a vibe, and if there's like a few sentences to explain like why you would choose Candy or Meat. Oh wait, I don't think it works. That's right. This website doesn't work. I can see the log, but I don't think I can see the actual pages. Fucking let me pull up the unofficial Homestuck collection where you can actually read the fucking comic. Where did I put it? Usually I have it like on my fucking desktop or pinned.
Oh no, Hussey released a virus to delete all of the unofficial Homestucks.
Yeah. Nah, I just I have it pinned on my taskbar on my laptop and not on my desktop, and I got lost. What's really exciting about reading through the epilogues is then I get to talk about my Candy musical all the goddamn time that I haven't finished because it was supposed to go beyond Candy and into my own thing, and then Homestuck 2 dropped, and I don't know, it's just hard to like make your own like fan continuation after the epilogues and then the actual thing drops.
Why the heck not?
Yeah, I just
I'll make my own Homestuck.
Yeah, for sure. I just have to kind of like remember what I was planning and like get back to it. But okay, let me see if there's a good summary because it's actually a few paragraphs that I don't know how interesting it would be to read out loud. You know the meat will be rich and filling, and if you're being honest with yourself, you haven't had the most robust diet as of late. It might be tough to chew, it might even be tougher to swallow. For Candy, something that'll go down easy and fill you with bright energy as you pass the time with your friends. You know you just need to let go sometimes and stop worrying so much about what other people expect of you, or even what you expect of you. It's not a bad thing to enjoy yourself just for the sake of pleasure, but eat too much and all that sweetness could make you sick. Yeah, so that's just kind of like the vibe of Meat is filling, but could be tough to chew, tough to swallow. And Candy is about like sweet and enjoyable and like stop worrying about like what people expect of you. But the sweetness could make you sick. And that is the vibe you are given.
I feel like maybe it'd be easier to read the Candy one, and it sounds like the Meat one might have, like, maybe I wouldn't have as much context? I don't know, or...
You will have the exact same amount of context for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally they can be read in either order. Like, you will have the same amount of context.
But will I understand Meat better for the filling nutritional value if I've eaten all the candy first?
You will understand them exactly the same in whatever order you read them.
Okay.
You will understand more things about Meat after you read Candy. You will understand more things about Candy after you read Meat, but not like a ton. Just some things have more context. But again, it is not because you read one first. It is just like they both give each other a little bit more context after you've read them both.
So are these both like different stories, or are they like different views of the same storyline or something?
I'm having so much trouble trying to figure out what I consider a spoiler in this event or not. So the choice of Meat or Candy is what is given to John. You as John are picking Meat or Candy. It is phrased in the concept of you are at a picnic and you are being asked to have meat or candy. And, like, obviously for John, it is just choosing a meal, but for us, we know the meta thing is, like, choosing a route to go down. I don't know if that answered anything. I already forgot what your question was.
Oh, just if it's the same story but different perspectives, or different, like, story, like this one, like if they diverge in what they're covering.
They are still primarily following John. I don't think we get other we get some other perspectives besides just John, but it's primarily following John in both of them. And things that happen in both routes. And I think after that might be too many spoilers, especially because I have thoughts and opinions on things that I would like further clarify.
Do you have a idea of which you think would be better to read first?
I mean, I do because of my personal bias for stuff. I don't think there is an objective better to read first. Like, for my bias, how I want you to feel about things that I don't know if you would actually feel about them, I know what I want you to read first. But, like, objectively, there is no better choice.
Okay. Well, I'm leaning towards candy.
Okay. I will not influence you one way or the other.
I'm leaning towards reading one page on each side and switching between them.
I don't know, like, you said the thing about, like, doing the chapters one at a time, and then someone said, like, actually, that's a really viable way of doing it. I don't know if that's true, and I don't know if I want to go that experimental with your first time reading. I think that might be a fun experiment, like, to do later, whether, like, with you or just as a fun thing for me to do, if I consider reading the epilogues for a third time fun.
It could be, like, we could do one chapter from each. It'll be kind of like when I played Dragon Age Origins for the first time and played through every origin before I chose who I wanted to be.
Yeah. Oh, like at the start you read one chapter and then after that you decide, or?
Yeah, like read one from meat, one from candy, and then be like, man, I'm going this way.
Yeah. I might look into that and see if that seems good, but if the first chapter would get you enough perspective on what you're getting into to decide. Okay. The first chapters of each are super fucking short, so actually we might be able to do that. Because, again, I'm just, like, skimming over here and looking at it. It gives a little bit of the vibe, I think. Especially, like, comparing and contrasting between the two of those. So, yeah, that's something we could do, I think.
I wish there were more games like Dragon Age Origins.
Oh, yeah. It's a cool thing. I love Dragon Age Origins. I think we recently found out that, like, EA had, like, almost done it and then decided not to. Like,
yeah, I saw the news articles, like, remaking it.
Yeah, I didn't read it in full. It's like, EA, you have disappointed me so much when it comes to Dragon Age stuff, especially, that I just can't find the details out about it. Like, it's fucking terrible. Do you have any guesses about what will happen in the epilogues?
Well, they're on Earthsea, and they're older. Okay, so this is from John's perspective, and he was, like, still using the phone and, like, talking to little Englishman, right? Like,
yeah, well, and then you have to keep in mind with that is that apparently they decided that stuff isn't canon anymore for the epilogues. So even if some events still happened, some events did not, so.
But we can still assume it's on Earthsea, right?
Yeah, I'll say it's on Earthsea, yeah.
So generally, we got the same people we got there, and maybe they're older and hanging out.
Yeah, they are older. They have aged to catch up with the time that it was released, because, you know, John was 13 in 2009, so John is now 23 in 2019 when the epilogues were released.
Oh man, being 23 years old. Such a long time ago for me.
Yeah, and then they ended the comic at 16 years old, so you know, it's been what is that? 7 years?
But like 7 years.
Yeah, it's been 7 years since they ended the comic.
Right. Well, it's hard to say, like, oh, are they gonna just have like a character-driven thing and it's just them hanging out in the Earth? Or I guess if the phone stuff isn't canon, but there's still the Englishes in the game. Are they going back into the game? Are they gonna play Suburb again?
Yeah.
Or do they just get more discs and they're like, frick, here we go again?
I'm actually lying to you. It like starts out with John's perspective, and then suddenly they introduce 4 new characters, and we just forget about the rest of them.
Yeah, we investigate yet another version of the troll world if everything else had been different.
Yeah, there's Alternia, there's Before Us, and now there's this third new troll world.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually just Vast Error, which is a different version of Troll Society. It's a fan comic, like a really popular fan comic that I have started reading. And I think there's maybe some interesting things into it, but that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, actually, this is just like a Vast Error plug. That's all this is. Yeah. Is there anything that you hope will happen, whether or not you think it's plausible?
I mean, it's hard to say like what you would think would happen after the end of a property.
Yeah, but is there like you would like to see more from this character, or you would like, I don't know, just something else explored more often? Or I mean, people make fanfics of like what happens after the end of things, right? Is there anything in that you would hope happen, whether or not you think it's like that they're actually going to do?
I think it'd be cute to like get a view of the consort town country.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, interactions there. Gosh, I don't even know.
Yeah, that's fair. Cool. I think that's all I've got. Do you have any last thoughts about OG Homestuck? Any I never asked you about ships, but I don't think you really care that much about shipping, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not really into the ships here, or really unless it's like very forward in the text of a medium, I don't usually notice.
Yeah.
Though I will say playing Death Stranding 2, maybe from just reading Homestuck and having like these people have vibes with each other. I keep using the word vibes, but I don't even know what to use for words anymore. I'm like, what
vibes is a good replacement word for a lot of things.
What if these two? What if this guy is in love with this other guy?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have that one piece of media that makes you start like thinking more about shipping. Mine was infamously Avatar. But yeah, if Homestuck got you into shipping things except for Homestuck, that'd be fucking hilarious, actually. Like, if you like, I don't care about any of the ships in Homestuck, that's not like pretty blatant and out to me, but now I understand ships enough to start shipping other things. I think that'd be very funny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, besides shipping, I guess, any other final Homestuck thoughts before we go into beyond canon or the epilogues are dubiously canon, and then Homestuck 2 is beyond canon.
Gosh, where is it gonna go? That's the eternal Homestuck question.
That is the eternal Homestuck question, isn't it? Where is it gonna go? Just like, yeah, that's the Homestuck question. You got it. Okay, cool. Well, I guess I don't think I'm gonna have another episode between this and us starting the epilogues. I might change my mind on that. But yeah, we're gonna start the epilogues here soon. And especially going to once a month again, we will finish in like 5 years. So the once a month thing might change. I just want to set expectations at that. But yeah, especially like with Moosie teaching again for the semester.
Yeah, but I have been reading more, but it's kind of like ebbs and flows. This is the ADHD wave. You got to ride it when you can.
Yeah, for sure. And there's definitely like a lot of reading in this one, and then like I don't know, and then it's different to just read it and then like also like come on a podcast to talk about it.
Yeah, but that's the fun part. I like reflecting on it.
Fair enough. I'm glad that the thing I brought you on to do is the fun part of it.
Like, I don't I don't know if I could have kept up with Homestuck without some kind of audience, like not audience, but like, what am I thinking? Like community?
Mm-hmm.
Even like just hearing you and your friends that have been on the Friendsin thingy,
Oh, yeah.
just adds more to the experience than just doing it in a vacuum.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, community is a big part of Experience Homestuck for sure. So, oh, cool. Yeah. The epilogues.
The blepilogues.
The epilogues. You know what? Actually, I feel, God, there's some episodes that I don't know if I'm going to do before or after the epilogues, because I'm going to, like, have an episode where I just explain my thoughts on what canon is in relation to Homestuck specifically. I think that might come out before the epilogues, but that's probably something I'm going to do on my own, and it'll be like a bonus episode and not part of the monthly thing. We'll see. Yeah, I'm deciding if that one's going to be before or after we read to explain my thoughts on canon. Probably before.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, okay, cool. So, stick around for the epilogues, and we will see you when we dive into 7 years into the Homestuck future and 6 years into the past.
Oh, okay.
I guess. I don't know.
I was thinking for a minute. I'm like, what?
Yeah, because it came out in 2019. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Moosie, where can people find you?
I've been working on my website, which is the moosed.com, and then that also links to the rachellikespizza.com, and just basically kind of a hub for all of the random stuff I've worked on.
Cool.
And future computer science lessons that I'm going to throw on there.
Nice. So if you want to be better at computer
Yes.
science than Hussy, go check out moosed.com.
I'm going to put that as my blurb.
Yeah, that's so fucking funny. Okay, yeah, and with that, we will see you in, I guess, a month, unless I have the other episode come out sooner. Bye-bye!
Bye.
Thank you to Dami for composing the theme song and editing the episode. You can find more of her work at soundcloud.com/dominothief. Shout out to our Fakest Fan tier supporters, Danny the Spoonlord and Tezrak. You can become a supporter and receive early episodes and bonus content for as little as $1 a month over at ko-fi.com/jaxyax, or simply give a one-time tip. For information on and links to my other projects, head over to jaxyax.com. Thanks again for listening.